Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and today we're going to do a little video about reviews and a few other things and life in general. So what have we been up to? Well, looking at my back 40, you can see that I've got some of my winter rye growing, and that's a good thing. Again, this is very poor soil and it's just going to take a lot of work, but growing that rye is really important. What that does is it sends down the roots, and the roots helps break up the soil, and then the soil gets more loose and then more things can grow. That corn looking stuff is actually sorghum. It's a type of sorghum, and then that's a radish, and so they're all, and then we got some pokeweed and a few other things, but we're letting it grow and it'll just take a little time. What else? We got into our wood chip pile. We're using that for mulch. That light brown pile right there is chicken litter or chicken poop, and we're gonna let that stew for a little while. And that's going to be some of our fertilizer maybe for next year. Also too, it has finally cooled off a little bit, and started doing some wood cutting. Broke out my log splitter. That was fun. I don't like the heat, and so now that it's cooling off a little bit, I'll get outside more, and eventually all of that will be cut and split, and I'll use my chainsaws and my tractor and a log splitter. So one of my projects is this fall to get rid of all this and get it stacked up as logs for a fire. The pine, some of it's pretty dry, but I may wait till next year before I burn it, and that's the thing with pine, is that you gotta let it dry out a little bit longer than the hardwoods. This right here is poplar. That's a tulip poplar tree that we cut down, and that'll probably be my next project, is cutting that up and splitting that up, and I'll keep that wood kind of up by the house. And so we'll use that first. All right, so we're starting to put in some gardens. That's one of my gravel piles that I use to gravel my roads and keep up with the maintenance. This is basically a tandem truckload of topsoil, followed by another load of gravel. I think we've got about over 100 tons of gravel. And then this is what we're working on today, or really what Mary's working on. We're starting to get our fall gardens ready. We may not plant a whole lot as far as vegetables, but we are going to be planting lots of berry bushes. Raspberries, blackberries, and elderberries are going to go in this area. And then over by the house, we're going to put up a trellis made out of cattle panels, so that in the summer, we're now facing north, by the way, so during the summer, when everything grows and leaves out, it'll provide some heat protection for the house. So what Mary has done is we've dug up a little bit. We went and got some cardboard. This is kind of like the Eden garden thing. We put cardboard down, and then we covered it with some horse manure, some composted or dried horse manure that we got from a barn, and then she's now putting hay over the top of that, and then we'll put a layer of topsoil over the top of that. We did run out of some horse manure. We either may buy some, but we can't use the chicken stuff right away. We've got to let that set a while. But it's almost ready to use, so that's what we're doing right now. Again, it's a slow, continuous process, but we keep moving forward. We have to add topsoil. Again, because our soil in this particular area is kind of poor, and we just have to take a little extra time and get it right. Whenever you are working in what used to be a pine forest, the soil is going to be bad, and you just have to do a lot to amend it and get it right. So that's kind of that stuff. One of the things I want to talk about is bugging out, and the reason why I want to talk about that is I was in a conversation the other day, and I made a comment on how long it would take me to bug out if I was leaving my property, and I said about an hour. And the person I was talking to was a little bit surprised, and he said, well, how much food would that be? And I said, well, probably a couple months. When I talk about bugging out, I'm not slapping on a backpack and marching off into the woods. I'm getting in my truck and I'm driving, and it's going to be full. Still, if you're not organized, that could be a process, and if you're not organized, you may not bring all the right stuff. So how do we do it, and how do we prepare to bug out if we have to leave, and again within an hour, which I think for us is very doable. So what I have done is I have gotten a lot of tubs. I have a lot of tubs, and the ones I really like are these. Let me get stepped aside here. These are Rubbermaid Roughnecks. See right there, Rubbermaid, and they're 14 gallons, and they have a snap-on lid. Hold a pretty good amount of stuff. What I like about this size is, there it is, 14 gallons. All right, and it's cold weather resistant. What I like about these, I like this size because it doesn't get too heavy. Yeah, you can make these real heavy, but in general, with the normal stuff you put in them, they don't get that heavy. Number two, what I like about these is it has a weather resistant lid. It's not waterproof. I mean, if you want to get that real Super Duty stuff, you can pay a lot of money for these. But these can be had probably for, I don't know, I think between $9 and $12 a pop, maybe as high as 15. But they're good, and the lid is weather resistant. When you go to Home Depot, a lot of times they have little slits here where water can get in if it's left outside. With these, as long as this lid is on there, water's not going to get in unless it floods over the top. But it's a good size. And the other thing I like about it is these things fit really nice in my vehicles. My wife has that Xterra. I have a pickup truck. These can go anywhere. They can go in the front seat, the back seat, the storage area of her thing, the back of my pickup truck. And it's a good size if you can stack them. I think with my camper top on, I know along each side I can go at least 2 high, and I think in the center I can go 3 high. That's a lot of buckets. It really is. So that's why I use them, because we can swap them between our two vehicles. We can put a lot in both vehicles, and they're just a good size. So how do I get to that 1 hour loadout? Well, I use those tubs, also for my everyday, what I call my everyday stuff. In other words, I keep some of these tubs filled, and they're in my office slash hobby room, and I work out of them. In other words, if I need something, let's say a first aid supply, I have a tub that's first aid, and that's where I go get my supplies. I have a tub that has a lot of my, we'll just say, gun stuff. I have a tub for gun cleaning and gun maintenance. And when I have to clean my gun or work on my guns, I pull that tub out, I use the stuff, and then I put it back. Doing it that way, I keep a kind of a running inventory of things that I have, and if I need something, I can order it. And also, I'm going through any fluids or whatever, any time-sensitive items, or if they start to run low, I just go ahead and order another one. So that way, not only am I reducing the amount of stuff I have, but I'm also touching it. And what I mean by touching it is that every time I go in these boxes, I'm looking at a lot of the stuff in those boxes, and I see that they're still in good shape. So I don't have to spend a day or a weekend or whatever, pull all my stuff out, go through it and put it back, because I'm in it on a daily, weekly, or even a monthly basis, depending on what it is. I am further organized in that my tubs are numbered, the full ones and the empty ones. Now, the one I just showed you doesn't have a number on it, because that's a spare. I keep about 3 of those for just in case something. If I forgot something in my list or I want to bring something extra, I've got a couple extra tubs that I can load up and put on my truck. I have the room. But all my tubs that have the required items, we'll say, they're numbered. I start at 1 and I go on up. And so when it comes time for me to go and I start loading up my truck, I start at number 1 and I go on up. Now, some of those tubs are empty. Like an example will be, I have a tub, and it says, I forget what number it is, but I have a piece of paper taped to the bottom of the inside of the tub, and it says Scott's Clothes. And what that means is I have one tub for all my clothes that I want to bring. And the Army, when you're in the Army, they don't give you much more clothes than that anyhow, so you can make that work, plus the clothes you're wearing. So I know I have one tub for mine, I have one tub for my wife, and I have one tub for my daughter. I also have items marked that they're not really numbered, but like we'll say dog food. I know to bring at least one bag of dog food for my dogs, and that'll last them a while. And I have empty tubs for food and for all sorts of other things. So by box number 1, and actually number 1 is my get home bag, and number 3 is my bug out box, which is my bug out, which is really a bug out bag, but it's not a bag, it's in a box, because at my age we're getting in the car and we're driving. And so that's our plan. And if I really did have to get down to the point where I had to walk, where I had to flee, there's enough stuff in my get home bag that I can survive. I wouldn't be happy, but I would survive. So I keep a list of all this stuff, and I did it in an Excel spreadsheet, and I have a place for check boxes, and I keep this by box number, well, in this case box number 3. And so when we start, we pull that clipboard out with those items, and we start going down the checklist. And then if a tub is empty and we keep the tubs, the empty tubs, all stacked in one of our rooms with the lids right there with them. They're stacked, you know, X amount high. And we get to that empty one, we go get the empty tub and we fill it with whatever's supposed to go in there, and we go on down the list. So that in a very short period of time, we have everything that we feel we need to bring with us for a bug out. Includes things like Pioneer tools, folding tables, stuff to cook with. So it goes on and on, and but that's how we do it, and that's how we can do it quickly. Is that we can go in and go by the numbers. And for those of you that are in the military, this may sound somewhat familiar to you, that when you guys have a call out and an alert, you know what to bring because you have a list, or you have it stacked a certain way. Oh, what is that? Ah, that was a biz jet. You don't see very many of those out here. Because of that, you know, because you have things stacked a certain way, you know that at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're half asleep and loading up your vehicles or your aircraft or whatever, you know what to bring. All right, that's it for the video. I'll give a, I don't know if you can see them. They're my boys out there. They're watching mom. We do keep them on a tether out here. We do keep them not necessarily running free, and it's not that they're bad dogs, but we have some neighbors that don't take the best care of their dogs, and they're not healthy, and I don't want my healthy dogs to get unhealthy because they are mingling with unhealthy dogs. So they stay with me. They're good boys. They do the job we intended them to do, so we're good. All right, this went a little long, but I really want to talk about. Here's my boy. That's Obi. That's my boy. Good boy, Obi. Good boy. Good boy. All right. Again, just a kind of a goings on, but really wanted to talk about how I bug out and the way I go about it and the way I do it. So that's all I got for you. Everybody, stay safe, stay secure, and be vigilant. I didn't hear the fat lady sing yet, so be careful out there. We'll see you.